But the Quad nations have vowed to mobilize up to $20 billion to build critical mineral supply chains covering mining, processing, recycling and regulatory alignment. The initiative is among the major outcomes of the Quad Foreign Ministers meeting in New Delhi. This report gets you more.
The foreign ministers of Australia, India, Japan and US Secretary of State met in New Delhi for the 11th Quad Foreign Ministers meeting. Three major takeaways of the meeting included agreement on Indo-Pacific Maritime Surveillance Initiative, finalizing the Quad Critical Minerals Framework and an announcement of Quad Initiative on Indo-Pacific Energy Security. The key new initiatives announced by the ministers are: the Quad partners launched the first ever Indo-Pacific Maritime Surveillance Collaboration Initiative enhancing information sharing and maritime domain awareness capacity. They also intend to collaborate on next-gen communication standards, focusing primarily on 6G standards development. Quad partners are providing training to health professionals in the Indo-Pacific to strengthen responses to public health emergencies. These efforts are valued at over $50 million.
The ministers underscored the importance of maritime security and resilient sea lanes in the Indo-Pacific. The Quad has expanded its cooperation under the IPMDA, which is the Indo-Pacific Maritime Partnership for Maritime Domain Awareness, including efforts towards a comprehensive common operational picture across the Indo-Pacific. IPMSC, with the integration of the latest technologies, will augment the IPMDA and enable sharing of real-time information and provide an enhanced picture of vessels. This effort will initially be focused on the Indian Ocean region.
The countries also announced the new Quad Critical Minerals Initiative framework, intending to mobilize up to $20 billion in government and private sector support through new and existing efforts to supply chains.
The Quad announced the Quad Critical Minerals Initiative framework to strengthen cooperation in mining, processing, recycling, and investment across trusted critical mineral supply chains. The idea is to mobilize public and private sector support and deepen cooperation in various areas, including regulatory practices, investment facilitation, recycling technologies, and resilient supply chains essential for advanced manufacturing and emerging technologies.
Notably, India will be hosting the next edition of the Quad at Sea Ship Observer mission to boost interoperability and joint surveillance, bringing together Coast Guard personnel from all four nations onto a single ship to strengthen regional knowledge sharing. Bureau Report, TD India.
Now, the day also saw Japanese Foreign Minister Toshimitsu Motegi calling on Prime Minister Modi in New Delhi on Tuesday, with both the sides reaffirming the importance of the India-Japan Special Strategic and Global Partnership for peace, stability and prosperity in the Indo-Pacific region and beyond. Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong also met Prime Minister Modi in New Delhi. The two leaders reviewed the growing India-Australia Comprehensive Strategic Partnership, focusing on defence, trade, technology and supply chain resilience, while reiterating commitment to a free, open, secure and prosperous Indo-Pacific. Also, India and the United States signed a bilateral framework aimed at securing the supply, mining and processing of all critical minerals and rare earth elements on Tuesday. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar announced a landmark agreement, highlighting its strategic importance in a highly contested global landscape following bilateral discussions and the Quad Foreign Ministers meeting. He called the agreement both timely and essential at a moment of growing global competition over these strategic resources.
We are today signing a bilateral India-US framework on securing of supply of mining and processing of critical minerals and rare earths. This is something which we have also discussed today at the Quad meeting, whether we're doing it bilaterally, whether we're doing it as a Quad format, or in fact as a larger gathering of like-minded nations. It is clearly something very timely, something very important, something very critical.
And US Secretary of State Marco Rubio highlighted the importance of India for the United States and said that the signing of the agreement is a tangible example of that importance.
The groundwork was laid for this on the 4th of February when we launched the forum and that you joined us at the Critical Minerals Forum that we hosted in Washington, D.C. It gained momentum later that month when India signed on to Pact Silla. And now today, because we both have a strategic and shared interest in the fact that vibrant innovation economies such as ours cannot afford to leave the foundational materials of these industries vulnerable to single source monopolies that could deny us these things, not just in a time of conflict, but as a leverage point in contrary to our sovereign national interests. So it's a pleasure to be here today, and I'm glad we were able to sign this because in addition to being an important document and an important agreement, I think it brings a tangible example of the strategic partnership between the United States and India.
And on the same day itself, External Affairs Minister also held talks with Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong, highlighting the growing partnership between the two nations. In his remarks, Dr. Jaishankar highlighted key areas of cooperation including energy, critical minerals and defence.